In the wake of the scandals at the 2024 Eurovision Song Contest, the EBU commissioned an independent review into what happened and what could be done to improve the contest for the future. On Monday, the EBU published a summary of what they are doing to implement the recommendations of that review. In this video, we'll analyse what will be changing about Eurovision. Now, the reaction from much of the fandom has been pretty negative. Many seem to think that the magic solution to all of the EBU's woes is to ban Israel and sack Martin Osterdahl. Well, a dose of reality for you, it is not. The former might solve some problems in the immediate term, but does nothing to address the deeper organisational problems and does nothing to protect the contest in the long term. How does the EBU deal with future controversies and crises? And people also seem to misunderstand the role of the executive supervisor, thinking they are some godlike figure who can unilaterally impose their will on the contest. The clue is in the name, supervisor. Consider this. A babysitter's a kind of supervisor. They supervise the children. But does the babysitter set the house rules? No. They just enforce them while the parents are away and keep the children fed, bedded, and safe. Likewise, would you sack the babysitter when it becomes evident that the house rules need to be stricter? Again, sacking Martin Osterdahl does nothing to address the deeper issues. So, what are the EBU doing? Going by a comment made by Norwegian head of delegation Stig Karlsen, it appears there's more in the works than what the EBU have currently made public. But here's what we know so far. The independent review, led by an independent industry expert, gathered extensive feedback about this year's event from a broad range of ESC stakeholders, including heads of delegation, members of the Eurovision Reference Group, the contest governing board, as well as the EBU and ESC core team. A wide range of opinions, perspectives, and expertise was sought, which is good. There was no mention of the artists being consulted, but one would assume some of them were, or maybe their comments were relayed through the heads of delegations. To ensure we do not lose momentum, a task force of senior leaders across the EBU and its membership has been appointed to oversee decision-making and implementation of changes in the above areas in the coming months. An indication that the EBU are serious about implementing these changes. Now, the independent review also found that there was a need to bolster the leadership team of the Eurovision Song Contest to ensure operational bandwidth to manage an event of this scale. We have created a new role of ESC Director, which will report to the EBU Deputy Director General and Media Director, Jean-Philippe de Tende. This will streamline the executive supervisor's responsibilities to focus on ESC production, heads of delegations and member relationship building and day-to-day production issues. The ESC director will oversee the work of the existing executive supervisor and a new role entitled Head of ESC Brand and Commercial. Now, it was mentioned elsewhere that Osterdahl has remained in post, but his role has essentially been demoted. Slimming down his responsibilities and passing them on to others is a good move, as it allows each to give more attention and to fewer concerns, rather than trying to divide their time between too many things. Maybe instead of Osterdahl appearing during the live shows to verify the voting and, if SVT are to be believed, send all of Europe's single ladies into a swoon. When Martin licks his lips and says, "You're good to go," we'll get the new ESC director instead. Who knows? The EBU have identified 3 areas, or themes, for what they called future development. EBU governance and participation. This area will look at clarifying the decision-making responsibilities of the various EBU governing bodies as it relates to the accepted list of participants, ensuring a wider range of member opinions are heard, the remit of the governing bodies, and the responsibilities of the ESC core team, and the role of the heads of delegations and responsibilities of participating artists. Reading between the lines, it seems that an Israeli ban may well be on the cards, but on the other hand, maybe not. This is a tricky area because the EBU insists they are apolitical. so they can't exclude a broadcaster just because the government in that country is unsavoury to some, especially if they are highly divisive. That would be taking sides. There needs to be clear and unambiguous rules about what merits a country being banned, and it also needs to be considered whether it's fair to penalise the music industry of that country if many within it disagree with the actions of their government. Whatever the EBU decides to do with regards to Israel, they need to be clear and consistent. If they remain part of the contest, explain properly why the situation with Israel is different to that of Russia. And what will they do to ensure their participation doesn't affect the integrity of the contest? Safety and risk management. This area will look at improving understanding of ESC rules across all stakeholder groups, including artists, with a focus on simplification, consolidation, and improved accessibility, strengthening the ESC crisis management protocols, and bolstering our security and cybersecurity provisions in light of increased needs. The EBU wants to make the rules simpler and help artists, in particular, to properly understand what they are signing up to. Now, the behaviour of some in the Israeli delegation was certainly wrong, but some of the artists and many of the fans were hardly innocent themselves. We might not agree with someone, but that's no reason to be disrespectful to them. So if Israel is there in 2025, no one is suggesting that artists or fans have to smooch the Israeli flag and proclaim their undying love for the Israeli state. But if the Israeli artist wants to speak briefly to another artist, maybe to congratulate them, a courteous response such as "thank you" wouldn't hurt. Nor are showy displays of ignoring the artist necessary. If anything, they are just childish. Just sit there quietly. And fans speaking derogatorily of the Israeli artist is not on. If we claim to be better than the people we are opposing, jolly well act like it. It's quite hypocritical to call out the harassment of those in the Israeli delegation while subsequently harassing Eden Golan out of some twisted sense of self-righteousness. Hate will never resolve hate. Ensuring a general audience show and broad engagement. Now, this area will look at increased collaboration with fan groups, influencers, and media to build broader engagement based on ESC values and ensure that the ESC continues to be an all-audience show appealing to a broad primetime audience of all ages. Now, it appears here that the EBU want to engage with the fandom in a more positive way. Some further measures were spoken about by the EBU's Deputy Director General with Variety. Steps will be taken to better protect artist welfare at the contest, possibly by bringing in a welfare producer. Detender also acknowledged that while Eurovision is a non-political event, it is inevitable that geopolitical tensions can have an impact on the event. The EBU will need to determine how they can better navigate and mitigate these scenarios without compromising free speech and expression. They also pointed out that their policy on participation was in line with other international competitions such as the upcoming Olympics. So, as we've discussed, the EBU has much to keep them busy for the coming months, strengthening and protecting the integrity of Eurovision. This review was not about quick gimmicks that only fix immediate problems, but addressing matters on a deeper level to future-proof the contest, ensuring that it can cope with the crises of the future better. Many of the reforms will be the result of compromise, so guess what? We won't be getting everything that we want. Österdahl hasn't been hung out to dry, and maybe Cannes will still be participating next year. But if we believe in the power of Eurovision to unite people by music, we will still support what the EBU are doing and trying to make Eurovision a better place for everyone. We can voice our opinions in a respectful and tactful manner and show courtesy even to those we disagree with. Talking of which, feel free to leave your respectful opinions on the review in the comments below.